20 hours. So you can turn it on and just take it with you as you're walking around. Point is, you get an interaction mode, and I bought this for the press because of what happened with the Richmond Times Dispatch. From now on, when I'm being questioned, I'm going to have my own copy of what I said. So if anything comes up. Okay, I've got two hands that have been up. I think you were next.
Quick question. I sent some email and noted that you FOIA'd the incident report, you FOIA'd the radio traffic.
Yeah.
I seem to remember from Manassas that the most entertaining reading was the emails. Have you also FOIA'd?
I think we've FOIA'd all communications.
All communications.
Yeah, that should cover that. That's a good point. Yeah, the email traffic between patrol cars is going to be very, very important, as we've all found out. Yeah.
Going back to what the gentleman at the door said about holding them accountable if they knowingly enforce the law that's not valid. I think maybe I'm not remembering the Manassas debacle correctly, but I think Cloudfelter had said something in the email about how he knew that they were actually correct in the law.
Yeah, I believe there were admissions in there that these guys knew what they were talking about. Of course, there wasn't an arrest made. There was simply harassment.
Yeah.
And, of course, the egregious part of having somebody kicked out of a restaurant. That still boils my blood when I think that they did that. And there are still things going on in Manassas. We're still working on that, and hopefully we'll have something to say on that a little bit later. But right now, we're trying our best to make sure they continue to pay a price.
So you said about that Alexandria police stated they're not going to enforce this null law. I'm actually one of the victims of their ridiculousness.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, what exactly did they tell you? In response to my Freedom of Information Act request, they told me in a letter that they were going to be giving remedial training to their officers, having to do with the preemption law, which I thought was a good sign.
Yes, I talked to a captain there, I believe it was a captain, and he said, yeah, he mentioned remedial training. He said he's contacting his talk to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to give that kind of training so the officers understand open carry laws, concealed carry laws.
My concern is that the officer that detained me actually, before he went and talked to the Commonwealth Attorney, at least he said he did, and then he came back and said, the Commonwealth Attorney told me the law was so loose and vague, preemption law, and any combination thereof doesn't necessarily mean loaded weapons. Which
he was not. When I talked to this captain, I believe it was Captain Ken, I'm not sure his rank, but I talked to him. They were completely clear that this was not happening anymore. That there was no distinction between the loaded and unloaded thing. I think perhaps that officer was talking to his hand. Okay. Certainly, the administration doesn't believe that, and we're going to keep our eyes open. Any more of this stuff? If you have anything else like that, obviously you need to let us know immediately, because we're not in the mood to put up any more of this stuff. Okay, and we're going to watch out. I can tell you, the city attorney was going to be a pain about this. I explained why they want to hang on to this, because they have some fantasy that they'll somehow be able to. Especially these unelected bureaucrats, they just love controlling our lives. It's like this is better than sex for these guys. I don't know how else to put it. Because they seem to be totally focused on this. This is not their job. And we need to make sure they do their job and don't go around trying to take away our rights. We need to hang on to those jewels, as was pointed out that our founding fathers, the jewel of liberty, hang on there. But we will fight and keep our eyes open on this. We will address city council. Well, we're at least going to put up a good fight. And we'll get the press there. We'll try to embarrass them if they don't do the right thing. I also have, you wanted to say a few words. Dave Van, one of our executive members, was with me at the Virginia Tech hearing where I spoke out there. Dave got to speak. He brought up a prop showing just how little amount of ammo, how small a space, 1,000 round space. He put like 1,300 rounds up there. But he had an interesting conversation with one of the police chiefs for the university, one of the universities, and he wanted to share that with you directly. So, Dave.
Bill, can we bring up that thing on Falls Church?
Yeah, go ahead. We only have 5 minutes.
Falls Church has got some outdated laws on the books that fall under preemption. I called or emailed the mayor. She transferred it over to the city manager after playing phone and email tag. I finally emailed him and I said, at least have the common courtesy to email me back or phone call me. And within 20 seconds, I got a phone call. The upshot of that is he said they're revamping their entire code book, and it might take 2 to 3 months for them to get it off, but they're going to be looking at it. And so I put a ticker on my BlackBerry for 3 months, and then look into that code again. If it's still there, we're going to come down on them like a ton of bricks. At Charlottesville, this was like almost a wasted trip, except we got to speak. The deck was loaded, plus they had 4 chiefs of police there, which included David Yost, who was from the International Association of Chiefs of Police, who just love us to death. I'm sure he was sarcastic. And he's also the chief of police of Smithfield, Virginia. I'm sorry? No, Yost was Smithfield. There was another guy from Williamsburg. Anyway, they got up there. Every single one of them espoused war controls, gun show loophole, yada, yada, yada. No guns on campus at all. So when Phil gave his presentation, I gave my presentation. I got up there and I said, let's lay the gun show loophole to rest once and for all. First thing is, it doesn't exist. And I went through the whole scenario. I said, you can't refer to a gun show loophole because it's something that doesn't exist. After, or right before that, Jim Casson and I were in the lobby. Thank God Jim was there, because he was a witness to what finally went down in the last few minutes. I saw Yost standing there with the other chiefs, and I was so incensed over what he said that I said, you know, I want to find out if he's going to be there this afternoon, because I want to direct a comment to him. And I walked over and I said, Chief, I'm a former law enforcement officer, and we shook hands and everybody's glad handing him. And he said, what can I do for you? And I said, you are a disgrace. The uniform you wear, you got really red in the face. And he backed away and he said, what do you mean? And I said, you're a disgrace. I said, you mean to tell me you don't want guns on campus? You would not want someone to be able to protect themselves from someone like Joe? I said, if it was your child there, you would not want them to be able to save their own life? I think we have too many guns on the street. And I said, 31 people murdered, and you can't see the value. 31 people murdered. Yes or no, you wouldn't want someone to have had a gun to stop that? And he said, given that context, no, I would not. And I said, I am speechless that someone who is a law enforcement officer would ever say that. I said, you're a disgrace to the badge and the uniform you wear.
Isn't that an approval of lawlessness?
Say again?
Isn't that an approval of lawlessness from the law enforcement?
You take an oath to protect life and protect people, and he has just violated everything that he ever took an oath for. I mean, it just astounds me that any law enforcement officer would ever say that. He finally said, there's too many guns on the street, and Jim said, too many guns maybe in the wrong hands, and he said, just too many guns, period. And I said, you're just an embarrassment. And then one of his buddies said, well, we've got to go, we've got to go.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Dave,
Okay.
you should have made the recommendation that he can get a bunch off the street like they're serving his officers.
I couldn't believe any police officer, let alone the chief, would say that, but
Well, now, you know, you say let alone chief, I'll take you up. I mean, trouble is, a lot of these chiefs aren't really police officers. They're fake police officers. They're politicians
Right.
that have been elected to that position. They're not real cops. And I think that's a lot of the problem. They really aren't
well, that is
what
that
you and
is.
I were.
Oh, and what Phil was saying about Manassas, he's correct. Manassas hasn't been forgotten about. Younger Dave and I, we just have to find time with everything else that's going on, but stuff is being worked on.
There's even more than you may know about. There's a lot of things
Oh,
going
well,
on.
there's a lot of stuff. Phil's working on something that I don't know. Dave and I are working on something which we're going to lay on the VCDL higher ups that may well blow up the whole thing.
You gonna run for chief?
We're running real short on time. Chip went and visited a little anti-gun group. They had a little meeting today, and he was going to give us a quick
The real